Hi, welcome to Sue Marie P. My name's Sue and today I'm sharing the best ever gluten-free Christmas cake I've ever tasted. Check that out. I made it almost 2 weeks ago and it's still moist and delicious. Super easy, one pot, everything goes in and you'll have a cake ready within an hour or so. So if you'd like to see how I make my best ever gluten-free Christmas cake, come with me and let's see. So the first step for the gluten-free Christmas cake, we pop everything into, not everything, we pop most of the ingredients in here and we simmer it or boil it up. So we start with, just got my recipe here. So we start with 125 grams of unsalted butter, and this has been softened at room temperature. And we have a can of crushed pineapple, and that all goes in. If you can get the unsweetened variety, that's even better. Last year I couldn't get crushed pineapple, so I did frozen pineapple and just blended it in the food processor. In here I've got 500 grams of fruit. I've got a combination of chopped dried figs, cranberries, sultanas, currants, raisins, but do whatever combination you like. You can even add just a bag of mixed fruit. We've got half a cup of light brown sugar, or you can use dark brown sugar. That is 90 grams. And I've got some spice here, just a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a teaspoon of mixed spice. So that all goes in. And then we just pop it on here. I'll do it on my induction hob so you can see. So to check it was turned on, it's on. So I'll bring the temperature up, then I'll drop it back to a simmer. That takes about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we need to just cool it slightly for about 10 minutes before we do the next step. So I'll let that do its thing and then I'll come back for the next step. Bubbling away and my butter is melting down, which is great. So once all the butter's melted and the sugar is dissolved, then we can just drop it back to a low simmer. I should have mentioned it's about 2 cups of fruit depending on what style of fruit you use. I always like to weigh things because then I can repeat it and be exact, because I swap and change things depending on what I've got. I'll just simmer it for 4 minutes or so. So our fruit buttery mix is all ready, and then I'm going to add in a teaspoon of bicarb soda or baking soda and mix that through. And it goes all bubbly, which looks fun. And then I need to let it cool for about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to pop my timer back on to 10 minutes. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes. So much easier. Just do it hands-free. So while you're waiting for your mix to cool down, it's a good idea to pop your oven onto 160 degrees fan, or 180 if you don't have a fan, and I'll pop the Fahrenheit measurement above. And we're going to do it in a 23 centimetre cake tin today, and I'm just doing it in the spring form loose bottom one. And I've greased the bottom and lined the bottom with paper and the sides with paper as well. The clips are just holding it in place. You can do the scrunch method that I've done before in other videos, where you scrunch your baking paper in a little bit of water to moisten it and just flatten it out. The only thing is your edges don't look clean, so I did that last time because I wanted it quick and easy, but today I'm just going to do it so it's a little bit cleaner, so my photos look a little bit better. So we've had this cooling for about 10 minutes. Now I need to grab my 2 eggs and beat them together and then pop them in. If you add your eggs too early, you might end up with scrambled eggs inside your mixture, which isn't good. And then into that we're going to add our ground almonds. So we're going to add 70 grams of ground almonds, which is about 3/4 of a cup. And it doesn't matter which way you put them in, whether you put the almonds in first or the flour. So I'm just combining that to fold it in. I love how simple this is. This is a version of my 1 bowl spelt fruit cake I did last year. And I'd want to do a gluten-free version just for my gluten-free viewers. So in here I'm going to add, just sift through buckwheat flour, 180 grams, which is 1 cup because buckwheat flour weighs a little bit more, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And just sifting it ensures that it just goes through nice and smooth. and the baking powder is all combined. Now, if you're not into buckwheat flour and you want to do your own combination, you could probably do, I haven't tried it, but I would probably think that gluten-free flour works. You could do a combination of rice flour, oat flour, tapioca flour. I love buckwheat flour, and I've got a lot of viewers out there that also like buckwheat flour. And there's one big bit, so luckily I sifted that. And if you don't have a sifter in the house, you can whisk your flour together with your baking powder, because I often do that when I'm wanting to do it quick and easy. I'm just folding my flour through just to make sure it's all combined. And if you wanted to take the hot mixture out of the saucepan and mix it into a large bowl, you can. I just like doing it this way because it just, I don't know, makes it easier. Let's make sure there's no flour left. So grab your cake tin that you've already greased and paper lined. I'm going to pour all that mixture in. And I just kind of, actually, just before I do that, I've noticed some flour down the bottom. But you can kind of mix the flour through a little bit as you're pouring it in. But, okay, I think we're good to go now. I'm going to just smooth the top before it goes into the oven. Tap it a few times. So last time I baked it, I was fancy and did some blanched almonds on top, but someone in the house didn't like that. So I'm doing it naked today, no almonds on top. But feel free to add almonds or little silver balls for Christmas. So I'm going to bake this for 40 minutes in my warm oven. Oh, need to take the clips off. And then at the 40-minute mark, I just cover it with foil so it doesn't burn any quicker, and then cook it for another 40 to 50 minutes. So pop it in for the first 40. So the 40-minute timer went off, and I've just got some foil here. And I'm going to wrap it over. And bake it for about another 40 minutes. And I've actually popped it on a tray just so it's easier to get it in and out. So the 40-minute timer went off, and just getting the cake out of the oven and just testing it. Comes out clean. I have a slight confession to make. I realised that I forgot to add my caster sugar. I was meant to add half a cup or 100 grams of caster sugar as well. So it looks a little bit, I'm going to try and lift it up for you. So I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit bumpy and doesn't have the nice glaze that my other cake had. But I'm not going to throw it out. I think it'll be okay. But it's a good test to see if you do want to reduce the sugar as well. I'm going to let it cool here for about an hour, and then I'll chop it up and we'll have a taste test and see if it's okay. If not, I probably won't release the video and I'll just, try again. But sometimes accidents need to be resolved. And it's no point crying over a sugarless or half sugarless cake. I'm going to cool it and I'll come back. So while it was cooling, I had an idea, and I thought, why don't I add the white sugar to the top as a glaze? So what I've done here, I've just melted down the half a cup of white sugar or caster sugar with a quarter of a cup of boiling water, and I'm just going to brush it over the top. Oh, one thing I should do, because I just wanted to make it look a bit shiny as well. I'm going to poke holes into it so some of that syrup can go into the middle. And hopefully I've salvaged the cake. We may not use all this sugar, but that's fine. Or if you like icing, like marzipan icing or any other icing, you could add icing to it and decorate it for Christmas. But I thought this might be just a little simple way of adding a bit of sheen. So I don't know if you're like me, sometimes I get forgetful. And brush it around the edge. I'm happy. I've got a bit of sheen back to the top of the cake. So all is not lost. Now I'm not going to bother pouring the rest over because I think that's done the trick. How to salvage your cake when you leave when you leave some of the sugar out. I'll let it cool before we cut it open. So back with my buckwheat or gluten-free Christmas cake. I'm going to cut into it. Usually don't need a large piece because they're really rich, but another way you can serve it is you can warm it up and put custard on it for Christmas and as an alternative to a Christmas pudding. So that's the insides. If you compare it to the one I did before, I think it looks pretty good. Let me do a taste test. I should have grabbed a spoon or a fork. It's still warm. You know, it's not bad really. I don't think you could tell that it doesn't have that additional sugar. I think adding the glaze on top just made it look pretty, but it's still really moist. I think the pineapple helps keep it moist. If you're looking for a moist, gluten-free fruitcake or Christmas cake, try this with buckwheat flour and a little bit of almond flour. Add the extra sugar back at the baking stage or the mixing of the fruit stage. If not, leave it out and just add a little bit of a glaze on top when it comes out of the oven. So I've given you 2 ways. So thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed my gluten-free Christmas cake. I've given you a few tips on how to salvage it if you make a mistake like me. Hit the thumbs up, pop a comment below, and stick around. I'll pop some other links up above for some other Christmas baking ideas. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching. Oh, don't forget, if you're new here today, consider subscribing. All you need is a Google account, hit the bell, and then you get notified when I have a new video released. Thanks again. Bye.